All right, y'all. This is Nelson from Dixieland and the Proletariat, and this is not going to be a regular episode that we would normally do. I'm here with one other person who will introduce himself shortly, but this is something because life has a way of putting people in your life that tell you stories you don't believe, and they turn out to be 100% true, and you just look dumbfounded and can't believe that this actually happened. And I feel that this is a story I think that people will enjoy and find crazy and funny and weird and just completely out there. Everything we're about to say is true. Names have been changed to protect the identities of people. And without further ado, this is my guest.
Hello, I'm Mr. Pink. I used to be a professional drug smuggler for one of the primary cartels out of Mexico.
Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland, 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 oh, Dixieland.
So, Mr. Pink, how did this come about? How does one get involved in this? That's what you can tell me.
I was working for a group of people in Mexico at the time and met this individual through these people I was working for, and because we brought a unique set of circumstances to the table, which was a pretty great asset to them at the time. We pretty much put together a business arrangement and started doing a little bit of business here and there, and things developed from there.
So, people, I guess the majority of people have this understanding that it's like the movies. So you'll watch these movies about you'll watch Narcos, or you'll watch was it Scorpion, one of those. You'll watch Blow, you'll watch any of these types of Scarface, these types of movies. Up or down, yay or nay, true or false? Is it accurate or inaccurate representation?
So Scarface, no, absolutely not. Blow, from what I understand about George, that is pretty much accurate, the way that things happened for him. They also did a movie about his pilot later on, who was also a CIA agent. The movies pretty much always are going to do things and add things that are, spectacular, because they want people to watch. And usually those things they're based on just a very, very few people. The super nobodies of the world, like myself, that they do not make movies about. We make up the primary source of things, or did at that particular time period. I don't know how things are run now. This was many, many, many moons ago when all of this took place. So the way things are done now and the way things are were done then are probably night and day different. Just like the way that they did things in the 80s with Griselda, compared to the way things were done in the 90s after the death of Pablo. It things change dramatically to suit the times and the needs.
So it's a very fluid thing.
It is a very fluid thing.
It's a very violent thing too.
It is a very violent thing.
So the movies, somewhat, I guess, could get the violence aspect right.
Oh,
It is very
absolutely. Mexico is no joke. It's a very different kind of place than what we have here in the States, especially in the more rural areas. There was this one particular situation. I was down there with two other individuals. Why we were there is irrelevant, but we were there at this bar. The two people I was with were transacting business with some other individuals there. I was basically just waiting on them. There were two other guys that were sitting off at a table I remember they were by a window. The federales came in, and me being the out-of-place fucking gringo, they immediately walked over to me. The bartender nodded at the people that I was with, and they immediately stopped paying attention to me and walked over and started paying attention to the people at the window. There were some words exchanged. There was unfortunateness for the two individuals there, and we were just basically told to leave, and then that was the end of things. So they do things a lot differently down there, say the least.
That was a very sanitized way of saying it was an unfortunate.
It was an unfortunate
event.
It was a bad day for those gentlemen, to say the least.
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad it wasn't you.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're a cool person.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
Appreciate that.
So the story that you're going to tell everyone, you came up with a name for it.
Circles.
So I guess the meaning of that is that everything sort of comes full circle, and it's kind of weird how paths cross when you least expect it, right?
I guess one of the things that had got you and I talking about this is the virus that we find ourselves in at the moment, and how people who are asymptomatic with the virus, carriers, if you will, can infect other people they come into contact with and not even know it, right? So it would just, it's interesting the people who inadvertently that know other people and the circles that they make.
I'm laughing because I know the story, and it's just like, yeah, people, by the end of the episode you'll get it. But yeah,
right.
It definitely is crazy how people's paths cross. I'm gonna stop bullshitting, but lead up to this story. Can you give us the backstory to the situation that unfolds that becomes basically the meat of this story? So, what can you tell us about leading up to this certain event?
Gosh, well, how to put it? Let's go with protege.
Yeah.
Protege / partner. Yeah.
Trying to think of how to put this in a way that doesn't expose a lot of things.
This individual was my partner in this other line of work that I used to be in before I went into this better, more higher paying line of
industry,
work that I was in. And he also wanted to be in a more lucrative line of work, but didn't know really what he was doing, right? So he had this idea, because anyway, it goes back to the TV thing. He has this idea, and he had met these folks, and he had put some money together. And he comes to me, and he's like, "Well, hey, so and so, they're gonna go and do this thing, in Atlanta, and I'm gonna give them this money and blah blah blah." And I was like, "That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Do you know this person? What do you know about the It's like, so...
Did you just say it straight like that? This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Well, pretty much, because that was the kind of relationship that we had.
So it wasn't a big, that's the dumbest fucking shit I've ever heard. It was more like, that's the dumbest fucking shit I ever heard.
Yeah, because, see, he chose to break this to me in a restaurant, so I couldn't exactly yell at him.
He did that on purpose.
He did, of course he did. No,
he
planned this shit ahead. He was very good about that kind of stuff most of the time. This other shit, I don't know what the fuck happened. He didn't think this shit through at all. Because, see, he was trusting. That's his problem. He trusted too many motherfuckers. I told him not to do that shit. It's like, man, don't fucking do that shit. As a matter of fact, right after I dropped his ass off and left, I looked at his ass. Motherfucker, what are we not gonna goddamn do? We are not gonna give him the money to go do that, right? No. Are you sure? Positive. What we're not gonna do? give him the money.
But he gave him the money.
Of course he gave him the fucking money. So
he has this idea for you. He tells about it at a restaurant. Then what happens?
So I drop him off. We have this discussion about him not, following through, and a couple of days, go by. And meanwhile, because I knew that he was trying to make this investment, I had lined some other things up for him in the meantime. And I had gone back to him to get the money to follow through with these for sure things that I had lined up for him to begin with. And, then is when I found out he had given him, of course, the money. And I'm like, so, okay.
You did exactly what I told you not to do.
Of course he did. So I'm like, well, have you heard from him? No.
No.
Of course not. How long has it been? 2 days. Oh, 2 days. So, and I'm thinking back to our earlier conversation, right? So that means he had already given him the money before he fucking told me at dinner.
So he just wanted to get some reassurance, and he thought that you were going to reasure him, and
That's how
a fucking
that
dumb
fucking
idea.
went, right?
Oh, Lord.
So anyway, needless to say, the guy fucking stole his money, just straight fucking outright, because I knew that's what he was going to do. I can't really go into detail about this guy, just to say that I met him for literally 30 seconds and could tell every fucking thing there was to know about him.
He just gave you the heebie-jeebies. Not the heebie-jeebies, but he rubbed you the wrong way. Because you don't look like a person that gets the heebie-jeebies a lot. Unless it's feral hogs.
Anyway, it was a considerable amount of money, depending on how you looked at it.
Is there a lot of zeros?
It was,
Something that you would be like, oh, fuck, if someone stole it from you.
It was more than soda pop money.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It was enough that, we really needed to recover that. So, anyway, we sit down and we figure the best way to go about that. And it's like, well, let's just go and see what happens. So it was about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 weeks. It was almost a month later before he came back to his little apartment. So yeah, he had a really good fucking time wherever he was at.
Oh, so he took that money and did what he wanted to. The guy who stole the money took the money and basically did what he wanted to for about a month. And then he finally gets back to his studio.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, buddy.
Exactly. So, we go, and of course he's got this whole sob story, lined up about he was robbed and this, that, and the other. And yeah, I want my fucking money. I don't give a fuck about you getting robbed, man.
You got quote unquote robbed.
Yeah, that's not my problem. Where is my fucking money, man? So, I don't have of course you don't fucking have it. Well, what around here do you have, right? There is nothing in your fucking apartment that can make up for what you owe me right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, anyway. So this went on for a couple of days, and, we knew we were going to have to step things up. And the reason we decided to put pressure on him was because he had the ability to get our money through other means. He had, he didn't have it, of course, in his little apartment, and he didn't have, of course, the cash on him. But he did have the means to get us our money back. Yeah. So we decided to amp things up a little bit.
You turned it up to 11.
Yeah. So
how did you amp things up, if you don't mind me asking, if that's the thing we can get into?
So we call Pittsburgh, and I had my buddy Pittsburgh come down. Now, if you were to meet Pittsburgh...
Is he a physical cheesesteak? No, it's Philly. No, wait. Yeah, never mind. Bad joke.
Well, you're Italian. Think...
Is he like Luca Brasi?
Think Sammy the Bull, but a lot taller.
Oh, God.
And with a really good tan.
Hey.
Yeah.
So he's basically something out of The Sopranos, but...
Yeah, he basically dressed like Gotti,
Ah, he had the rings? The gold chain?
he dressed like Gotti.
So give you a necklace, she'll even give you a necklace.
So he came to pay him a visit, and of course, he was extremely upset by the time he left, and was, making assurances and et cetera, et cetera. Gave him all the cash and change out of his pockets right then and there, which we, of course, just left on the table. But it was funny, nonetheless, that he offered it. So, meanwhile, as Pittsburgh and I are discussing things with individual one, my associate.
It's so weird telling a story without names.
It is very
It's just pronouns and fake names and just images in your head. I'm picturing Paulie from The Sopranos.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's about right. With a fedora.
Ooh.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. From Pittsburgh.
True Guinea.
Yeah, right?
Okay, so this guy empties his pockets.
Yeah. So anyway, we're discussing things, and meanwhile, my associate is just kind of looking, through his place for anything that we could get a lead on, family, et cetera, which is pretty standard procedure. And he comes across this picture book, and oh boy, how to explain this? Fuck's sake, sideways.
For people who don't know, or younger listeners, a picture book is what you had to have back in the day, and you actually put physical pictures in the book. It's like they had sleeves, and they're usually Polaroids, or just pictures that you get developed at a place that you could get pictures developed at before the aspect of digital photography, and you put them in a physical book, and you could open it and look at it. Now, you couldn't like them if you poked it hard enough. It wouldn't hit a thumbs up or a heart or anything. It was just, you could enjoy them that way.
Oh, my God.
Trying to bring some humor. It was Instagram before Instagram. It was Instagram IRL.
Oh, boy.
So he finds this picture book.
He finds this picture book, and he's thumbing through it. And he comes across several photographs of this person's individual one's sister, right?
Okay.
And after, looking through, he comes across this other photograph of individual one's sister with this other person, which is at what time he immediately came and called me over to said picture book to see this image as well. And, all right, so
What had happened was...
All right, so this person in this picture with this person's sister was with a certain law enforcement division,
Okay.
shall we say.
Okay.
Well, this individual also had a sister whom I may have been visiting with from time to time. And so, it was curious at the time. We made notes of it and discussed it quietly amongst ourselves. And, we left. And anyway, that night, actually, and most of the way home and the next day and the day after that, we talked about just the strangeness of, what are the fucking odds of this? So, you got to remember, he meets this, I don't even remember where he meets this fucking guy. It was right,
Yeah.
just
random as shit.
right. He don't know this motherfucker. He don't know him. It ain't like that. Now,
It's
what
6
the
degrees- it's a
fuck,
6 degrees of
man? He
separation
don't know
shit,
this
yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Which is why I told him not to do it. What are we not going to do? It.
Give him the
right?
money.
What did he do? It. God damn it. Of course he fucking did. Because what else would he fucking do, right? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
God damn it, man. Anyway,
Don't give him the money.
What are the fucking odds of that? I'm just saying. What in Zeus's butthole are the odds of that shit? Anyway,
It's in a picture book.
fucking picture book. God
So just to recap. So you associate Pittsburgh in person who took your money's apartment.
Right.
Associate finds picture book.
Right.
Thumbs through picture book because that's what people did back then. It's
Right.
like instead of getting on your smartphone, you just thumb through some random person's picture book.
Right.
Sees individual number one, and then individual number one's brother.
Right.
Okay, just want to fill everyone in, and then individual brother was part of
individual one's sister,
Oh, okay.
who was in a photograph with Johnny Law, whose sister I was familiar with.
It's a great F word you used there.
Thank you. At the time.
Okay.
So
there's a 6 degrees of separation between y'all and these people, basically.
Right.
Okay.
So, we were just pondering the odds and the strangeness of that fucking conundrum. Mm-hmm. But we didn't really think that much more about it past that. So the very next, no, it was 2 days. It was two days had gone by.
2 days later.
And we hadn't heard anything. And it's like, well, we decided we were hungry. And this person, he worked at a dining establishment. He worked in this dining establishment. So we decided we would go eat. We asked, of course, to sit in his section. And he wouldn't come out and wait on us, of course. He sent somebody else instead.
Been there, done that.
But we ordered the most expensive shit that they fucking had on the menu, and we left $100 tip. And I had to get up at the end of the meal and go to the restroom and do what you fucking do after you go eat, right?
Yeah.
So as I'm coming back out, I see this individual, Johnny Law,
Yeah.
whom I had just had interactions with with his sister earlier, I think it was the day before.
Yeah.
I had been to visit. We had a nice dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And as I walk out, I notice he has his name tag and such covered
Johnny
up.
Law's in full uniform.
Oh, yeah.
Badge and
Absolutely. Badge and everything. But the name tag is covered up with black tape.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did that. That's crazy.
And then I look over the door, and there's maybe half a dozen or so of his friends over there, all from a smorgasbord of departments and jurisdictions and such. Just a whole fucking mess of the motherfuckers. I'm like, look at this shit here. All of them with their fucking name tags covered
It's
up.
a pig farm.
That's right. So he's having this really loud conversation with my associate and referencing individual one who is by this time peeking out from behind a person I'm assuming was his general manager or something. Now, let me set the stage for you.
Yeah, please set the stage for this because we're not using names. So even I've heard this story before. I'm getting kind of lost. So associates at the booth.
Yes.
Johnny Law is standing there.
Yes.
Guy that took your money is cowering behind his general manager.
Yes.
And general manager standing there.
Yes.
Okay, continue. I just wanted to make sure I'm on the right track.
This particular establishment was relatively new at the time, so it was a really hot spot to go eat.
So it's packed.
Oh, it's fucking packed. Yeah, there was I guess there was a line waiting to get in, but they left. You'll understand why in a minute. So, it was on a Saturday night, prime time, full packed house, and they're having this conversation about illegal drug money and all this shit in front of everybody, right? And I walk up to the table. Johnny Law looks at me and he loses all the color in his fucking face. And he's like, and he puts his hand up and it takes him a minute to get the words out. He's like, I know you. I was like, and I know you. What are you doing? Did you come to join us for dinner? I don't think we have a big enough table for your friends. Right? So, he's standing there with this, bewildered, what the fuck to say. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, I couldn't believe it when he first said it. But he says in front of this packed, bear in mind, at this particular juncture, everybody in the restaurant stopped eating. I mean,
the record has scratched, and everyone just like
this place, packed house was silent as a fucking church at prayer time when the preacher's fixing to speak.
Just dead silent.
Silent. And this motherfucker looks at me and says, "It's drug money. You've got to let it go." And I'm like, "Fuck you. I want my money back. I'm not letting shit go. What the fuck, man? This ain't none of your goddamn business." And he looks at me and says, "No, man, you gotta let it go." And I'm like, "That's not gonna happen, man. What the fuck are you doing here? This is not none of your goddamn business."
Conversation with Johnny Law in this restaurant, and everyone is hearing Johnny Law tell you, "It's drug money, man. You gotta let it go."
And then he follows that up with, "Well, I'll do whatever it takes to make you leave him alone. I'll file false charges on you if I have to." I'm like, and I can't say his name. Well, fuck, Johnny, speak up. They didn't hear you at table 7.
So he said the quiet part out loud.
He didn't. He said everything out loud. I was like, "God damn, dude." I was like, I said, for one, you have no probable cause to be here. We were here having dinner. We bought the most expensive shit on their fucking menu, and there's a $100 bill for a tip on the fucking table. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Has anybody, and I'm addressing the crowd at this fucking point.
Are you
Fuck
not
it.
detained?
Has anybody, almost dropped my shit. Has anybody in here heard us do anything other than have a nice quiet dinner to ourselves? Right? Nobody. We ain't bothered nobody. We ain't said shit to nobody. And he's going, "No, man, you got to let it go. You got to quit harassing him." We aren't harassing anybody. I says, "Look,
You're the ideal
you're
patron
here
right there. You're just like sitting down, and you tipped $100. You're the ideal. I wish you were my table."
Well, all right. Bear in mind, we did all these things because we knew that, that's not going to get us in trouble, and it would send him a signal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The sending a message.
Exactly.
Okay.
But as far as all the Patreons are concerned, we're just two guys sitting there having a nice, quiet meal. It don't matter that we look like we walked off the set of Miami Vice. I'm just saying.
So Johnny Law has incriminated himself in front of everybody and God.
Oh, yeah, every fucking body. Multiple times. Because this went on for a good, 5 minutes, right? And I've had it at this fucking point. I'm just done. I didn't even notice my partner dip off until the last minute. And I just happened to see him walking out of the corner of my eye. And he went through the door, and I saw a couple of guys go out behind him. So that kind of pissed me off because what are they fixing to go do to my fucking guy? And I'm thinking I got to get outside at this fucking point.
Obviously,
because we're fixing to have media and news crews up in this motherfucker at that point, right?
This is Action 5 News.
So
shootout at the diner.
I'm like, "Look here, Johnny." I says, "The only reason that you're fucking up here is because you're putting your dick into his fucking sister. But you need to remember whose apartment I was at last night, brother." I says, "Didn't you enjoy that fucking burger that I made you? I left you a fresh towel in the fucking shower." I says, "As a matter of fact, I got to dip out of here because I got to get outside. I'll see you at the house later, and we'll finish this conversation.
And then he turned even whiter. Like,
Yeah.
he basically became a Crayola white.
Pretty
Crayola
much.
at that point.
And I turned around and just walked off from him at that point because I'd fucking had it, and I needed to go check on my
Now,
guy.
This is amazing. Can you go into detail about you walking out of the diner and what was there and what happened?
So the remaining of his group were all congregated in the front door. And as I'm walking toward him, I don't know if it's because of what I said to him or he signaled them behind my back, but they parted like the fucking Red Sea. And all right, look, man, I got to tell you, of all the shit that I ever fucking done, this was the like one of the only times that it was ever like anything off a fucking movie. The moment that I put my hand on the fucking door to walk out of the restaurant, my partner wheels up, and we had this badass hot fucking car we were driving at the time. I'm not going to tell you what it was because it don't fucking matter. But the moment I put my hand on the fucking door, he is just, bam, he is right there with the door open, motherfucker. With the door open. Get in. Bam. We are gone.
So afterwards, what happens? What happens afterwards? What's the icing on this cake?
Well, you've just had a major confrontation with just about every law enforcement district in your fucking state, a member representing it, even though they were there illegally. And anyway, that's a whole nother story for another time. But so, you know, it's like, well, yeah, okay, well, what do you do at this fucking point, right? Well, me being true to my word, I went to his house later on, right?
To
Johnny's house. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he wasn't there. Nobody was there at the time. But I left him a nice little note on the door, all friendly like, right? And I went back, you know, for a couple of days, never could get nobody. And it was like maybe 3 or 4 days later, I went back, and the apartment was just fucking empty, just completely emptied out.
This place was just bare, just gone.
Just gone.
Gotten up and left.
Yeah, completely emptied out. So, well, all right. In hindsight, this was probably a really cocky thing to do. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I did it any fucking way. I went to his station house and left him a note on his patrol car during his orientation, so I knew he would get it when he came out after orientation the next morning.
I ain't never scared. There's nothing but thug.
It simply said, I came by, I saw you were gone, I miss you.
Holy shit.
Oh
my God.
Well, needless to say that it wasn't shortly thereafter that we, of course, started getting pulled over left and right by folks and you know, obviously being harassed on a regular fucking basis. So, you know, we got to thinking, it's like, well, you know, what do we do about this situation? You know, 5-0, you know, how do you fucking, you know, what are you going to do about that? Well, what my associate didn't know at the time is I had a little leverage in that department, which kind of ties into the beginning of the story about having certain assets available to me that were of great assistance to them at the time. So those assets that I had available to me, come to find out, were already looking into Johnny's in his little group for a whole different trafficking matter, as it turns out. Turns out these cats had their own gig going, trafficking for this other outfit.
Police break the law?
Which ended up being, anyway, that's a whole different story for later on. Yeah, so that's pretty much, we went to our assets, and it was kind of funny because you can't just go and say, hey, you know, we had a bad, you know, drug deal. We lost money. We're trying to get our money. You just can't do that, no matter what your relationship is.
Yeah.
So we went with, well, we made this individual a business loan, and through trying to recur our business loan, he chose to involve said people in, I don't know, some kind of bullshit. We literally came up with it on the way to the fucking office. You know, what are we going to tell him? I don't know. Well, we got to come up with something. We came up with some bullshit. They probably didn't believe. It just sounded half-assed good on the way to the office.
Oh, my God.
But as it turns out, we didn't need it anyway because they already had a ticket on them. So
It's funny how things work out.
it is funny how shit works out, which brings us back to circles. The circles of things.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Every time you tell me the story, it still makes me laugh because it could be a movie. It should be an episode of Narcos or something. It should be something.
You'll find this interesting. One of the other more unique things that I found myself doing one time is we were courting an investor, right? And this particular investor was this real straight-laced dude. He didn't really have any exposure to this stuff at all whatsoever. So we're trying to come up with how to explain to him how things work. And finally I was like, look, man, it's a fucking business. It's not really any different than what you do. It's like, look, you have a product. You pay X amount for whatever that product is. Now, whatever you make on it, once you get back what you paid for it, well, that's your principal. And he was, with me. I don't know what the fuck he did, but he was on board at that point. I was like, so, it's kind of basic economy. If you can provide a superior product for a cheaper price than all of your competitors, you'll get the business. So the problem is you get all these people out there and they get greedy and they step on shit too fucking much and it gets all fucked up, or they put some bullshit in it that really fucks people up.
Yeah.
Dead people can't come back and give you more money. I mean,
Yeah, true.
you kill all your fucking customers, it's not going to give you a good reputation. So you give a superior product, you may not make as much money, right? But you're going to, in the long run, make a lot more money. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there is a flip side to that. You piss a lot of people off because you're taking their business from them. That has its own unique set of issues you run into.
Is that
It's a job, man. Don't let nobody TV shit fool you, man. It's a for real, full-time, no bullshit job. It is 24/7, especially if you're working for an actual outfit. I mean, if you're just dicking around doing some, bullshit like what me and my associate was, that's one thing, man. If you're working for a fucking outfit, no, you got back then you had a beeper, you had a beeper and a fucking bag with a phone in it. It's called a bag phone. Yeah, they don't even know what the fuck a bag phone is. You had this giant briefcase that was your phone. If you wanted to make a call, you open this briefcase up, set the antenna and shit up. Yeah, man. And then they came out. Anyway.
Operator.
So, if that beeper goes off, I mean, you go and you make the fucking call, and you go and you do whatever it is they tell you to do right fucking then, period. There ain't no, I gotta,
no ifs, ands, or
none
buts.
of that bullshit. Yeah, you go right fucking then. And that's it. So.
Can you talk about that other story we talked about right before this? Somehow segue this into that?
Oh, fuck's sakes. Those idiots.
What had happened was.
So, being a Mr. Nobody, one of Mr. Nobody's jobs is to commonly, escort shipments of various sizes from point A to point B, whatever.
Like Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah, kind of like Smokey and the Bandit.
But a lot more violent.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So this one particular instance, we were doing a security run, and the people that we were supposedly doing the transaction with, I guess they had it in their mind they were going to just have their cake and eat it too, and they were friends with these skinhead Nazi fucks that anyway.
So they had, but the way you described it was they had legitimate, like...
Oh, they were
tatted
tatted.
up
Oh,
with
yeah.
swastikas, and they were hardcore neo-Nazis.
They thought they were. I mean, yeah, they thought they were hardcore neo-Nazis. I mean, you know, back then it was a little different than now. I mean, now everybody in the fucking world, you know, goddamn, everybody's got a AK pistol or a, you know, fucking whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Back then it wasn't like that, you know. You didn't have access to the same kind of shit, and if you did, it cost a hell of a lot more money. Well, you know, we had actual full auto weapons and shit back then that we carried as security. These fucking numbnuts decided they were going to come out and try to rob us. I don't remember what. I think a couple of them may have had automatics. One guy had a fucking bat. I'm like, what the fuck are you going to do with a goddamn bat? Are you fucking kidding? A bat? Really?
You brought a bat to a gunfight?
At least he's got a fucking gun, man. You brought a goddamn bat? Anyway, man, look, I wish I could tell you.
Nazis are not the smartest people. They're pretty fucking stupid. I mean, really fucking stupid.
I wish I could tell you, like, it was this really, like, great, elaborate fucking story. There was this gun, but no, it wasn't. Not a single one of them did a goddamn thing. The guy with the bat, I think, peed his fucking pants. All my buddy did is he literally put a burst right over their fucking head and right down by their fucking feet. We dropped them on their knees, took their shit away from them. Like I said, one of them peed their pants. There was a fucking puddle there. I mean, you know.
See, you robbed the Nazis.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. We're going to let them keep that shit. Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
So,
and that's how that particular incident ended.
And that's how that particular incident. Yeah,
they ran away with their tails tucked in between their legs, pissing themselves.
Pretty much.
That is fucking hilarious. That ties it into the whole aspect of the podcast where we're anti-fascist.
And as far as, you know, we didn't continue anything further past that. The people, I guess, handled the rest of it on their end. That was, what would they say, above my pay grade, I think's the phrase.
Oh my God! Well, Tony Montana, is there anything else you want to? I knew this wasn't going to be a very long thing. Is there one particular story? But
you tell me. This was your idea, man.
This is definitely
this
my
is
idea.
Your podcast. I'm your guest. What, you want me to interview you?
That is true. I mean, we talked about having one particular story, and I know we kind of wanted to do like a 3-part thing where we get progressively like, oh shit. And eventually down the road, we might do that after we figure out the details. I'm guessing, like, what is the biggest... Obviously, we talked about it's not like it is in the movies. It's not like we were watching an action movie the other day, and you were like, oh, this is... I mean, it's very theatrical. I mean, this gunplay is fairly... Okay, and the fight scenes are more theatric for the thing. But what's the biggest... misconception I think that the general public has in this line of work?
That it's like in the movies. I mean, all right, as an example, when you do transactions and shit, right? And the people that let's just completely back away from that part of it. Let's just talk about in general, okay? When you're in a business like that, and you're making money, right? Mm-hmm. Unlike a lot of folks that just go out and they're buying new fucking cars and houses and all that kind of shit. Well, where'd your money come from? Right?
Oh.
Well, where'd the fucking money come from? What, you shit it out of a fucking tree? I mean,
yeah.
Right? So you have to account, unless you want to be one of those people.
The giving tree.
You have to figure out a way to account for your money. Now, if you're operating, you know, on a level like, you know, Pablo Escobar or some shit like that, like you said, the people they make the fucking movies about, well, that's a whole different thing. You know, it's tiered like anything else. When you're, you know, Mr. Nobody like we were, well, you know, you got to figure out how to show where your money came from, man. You ain't got millions and millions of dollars stashed away in a fucking lockbox somewhere, you know.
So you have to be on your P's and Q's, basically.
Exactly.
You have to make sure everything's in line. If something fucks up, you can't call the police.
Exactly.
Obviously.
It's a very stressful thing.
It sounds stressful.
In other words, you know, it's like when I say that you're on 24/7, because you're in that line of work, you're aware of anything when you leave the house. You are constantly looking. Is there somebody sitting down the street from my house? Is there somebody in the bushes down the street from the house? Is there someone sitting around with the binoculars? How many times has a plane flew over? You know, is there someone following me? How long has that car been behind me? You know,
Why is a helicopter going? Yeah, things like
you know,
anything.
I mean, the shit that you have to think about because, especially the higher up the tiers that you go, because the higher up the tiers you go, the what was the term they used? The bigger fish that puts you close to. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if they can get you for anything, it's kind of like the mafia in that aspect.
Whoa, hey,
you know?
whoa, there is no mafia.
Oh,
Okay?
excuse me, no mafia, right?
It's
the family.
Italian prejudice. That's I stereotype, but I find it offensive. But I like what they said in Peaky Blinders, where he's like big, fuck, small. So it's like the closer you get to the top, the more obviously, everyone said the closer you get to the top, the more problems you're gonna have.
Right. You're not driving around most of the time in fancy, flashy cars. Now, my associate and I, we were in a fancy, flashy car that night, yes, but at the same time, we went out to go have a nice dinner. So we were dressed.
This is your own
for
time.
that, exactly.
This is your time.
You know, when you're out doing business, you're not in anything like that. You don't want to draw attention to yourself. Most of the time, you go around to an obscure car lot somewhere that sells old work trucks. You pay cash for a decent work truck that's in good working mechanical order. You have a straw person register it or completely, falsified, registration, whatever you need to do for that, because you're not going to keep it that long.
Obviously not, yeah.
So,
dealer plates or no plates at all?
You most of the time have arrangements
Someone
for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be the kind of thing that you.
So it's basically a junker. Like it works. It gets the job done. You're going to ditch it somewhere later, so no one can trace it back to you.
A junker, but not a junker. You don't want a brand new vehicle, but at the same time, you want something that's dependable.
Yeah.
That looks nice enough that's not going to draw attention and get you pulled over. You don't want anything that's smoking. You want something that looks appealing. Mm-hmm. That looks like you could go to a upscale neighborhood and be working on a house, because most of the time, depending on what you're doing, you're going to be, pretending to be a contractor or something to that degree, because that's just the best thing for you to do. Moving, shipping companies have a high rate of getting searched, shit like that, but nobody pays attention to contractors. So you're a contractor going to work, you got tools on your truck, ladder or two, but the bed of your truck, pops open and it's storage containers that are lined with whatever it is they need to be lined with. So
the good stuff.
The good stuff. Usually disco shit. 100% pure disco shit.
So there has to be some reward to this, though. Was the money good? I mean, there's high risk. But is there a high reward? Even at someone at the bottom, is it worth it?
For Mr. Nobody like me, it was nothing for me to have a liquid cash of $25,000 to $100,000 at any given time. 4 or 5 different residents to go to, usually in different states, depending on what the line was, where I needed to operate from, where they sent me. Most of the time, they would provide me with whatever I needed to, get the job done, depending on what it was. There were a couple of occasions. We did do some kind of like Smokey and the Bandit kind of shit. We would go down to a tropical-ish place, and we would follow a load back. And basically, the objective was that if the load became compromised in any way, one, we were security, and we would take care of anything from that end of things. But if, say, someone snitched on the load, or there was an informant, and the police came in and tried to confiscate. Our job was to distract law enforcement by any means necessary and to get them away from the dirty vehicle and on us, period. If we had to shoot at them, whatever it took, they were to chase us and at least get far enough of them away from the vehicle to get the driver away or to execute the driver. The driver cannot be taken into custody, period.
End of story.
End of story. The load doesn't matter. The driver cannot be taken into custody.
Because the driver knows everything. The driver knows.
It doesn't matter what the driver knows.
Oh, okay. So
the driver cannot be taken into custody. Period.
So obviously, this is not this is something you're not into anymore. This is long
time ago.
You're an old retired person now.
My back hurts.
How does, without going into too much detail, because I know the story and it's obviously you could tell what you want to tell, but how does someone get out of something like this? How does it end? Besides being
most of the time, not well.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and matter of fact, yeah, every single person that I know, as far as I know, is either in jail or dead, mostly dead. My circumstances were luck, literally, more than anything else. It was timing and just pure luck with a little sprinkling of help from some friends.
You get by with a little help from your friends.
Get by with a little help from your friends. Especially friends with long fingers.
I don't know why that was funny. It was just a long finger. There's parts of this that are not funny at all, but the story's hilarious. And just knowing you and knowing everything and know it's just like it's a laugh of like, when I don't know. It's just like when you see something or hear something so fucked up and you just start laughing like, holy shit. And I remember the first time you told me that, I was like, God, that shit's funny. But the other stuff was like, oh my God, what the fuck?
It's really amazing what you can get desensitized to and used to on a right. Like I had this one time.
Television.
I just one time.
Video games, violent video games.
This one time my paw was all fucked up, man. Me and my partner were sitting there having lunch, and man, these two dipshit motherfuckers pull up on the guy. They tried to run over some cat on the fucking curb. They hit this little tree. They get out, and they're like beating on this dude and all this shit. And I'm like, man, these motherfuckers. And then I can't remember if they heard me or what, but looked at me and, oh, well, fuck you, motherfucker. And I said, oh, man, interrupting our lunch like this. I said, look here, I'm going to shoot this one. You shoot that one. We can finish our lunch in plenty of time before the cops get here. Hell, we can even see what they got on them and finish our lunch. And then we can dip. What do you say? And he's like, yeah. So by the time, we were starting to stand up, and they, of course, just fucking took off. Man, it was the funniest shit you ever did goddamn see. But yeah, man.
So you and your associate scared them off without even having to fire a shot.
Yeah.
Just all about perception.
Yep. Just by having a casual conversation with both of them. It's like, I'm going to shoot this one, and then you shoot that one, and, just looking at my watch and just being very matter-of-fact about it. And then, well, we looked like people that would actually shoot them too. So I guess he was thinking about that and his little fuck you tirades afterwards. So fuck me, huh? Oh,
fuck me, fuck you.
Okay.
Oh my God. Actually, I think that kind of wraps it up nicely. I mean, really, we've gone full circle. But yeah. Do you have anything else you want to throw in there? Any closing remarks that we could obviously probably talk more, but I kind of want to break this into different episodes, and obviously
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
we can't go into what was Al Pacino like in person.
No idea.
Out of all the movies that you've seen about what we're talking about when it comes to the drug trade, smuggling, or crime, organized, anything. When it comes, like, when you think of like Goodfellas and Blow and anything that involves drugs, smuggling, smoking, any of that stuff, what is the most accurate representation that you've seen in media that you've done that compares to what you've done?
Well, you know, Blow was in a different time period, and all the others are pretty much theatrical representations. I would say if I had to guess from the way they did things in my time, from the way they did things during old George's time, that things change, but they stay the same.
Mm-hmm. So Johnny Depp did a good job.
Absolutely.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. We need to do it again. We need to sit down and talk about the other episodes that we had planned. Definitely, the other, not the third one we talked about, but the second one. Third one's really fucked up. I mean, really fucked up. I mean, really, really, really fucked up. The second one, though, is just a bunch about a group of people that like to go camping, and that's definitely something that we should see if we can put together as an episode. Thank you again, an anonymous person
Right.
that I know, and I think we're gonna call it a day. This has been Dixieland of the Proletariat podcast premium after dark.